Our first panelist, Mr. Ashish K. Jaiswar, General Manager, India, University of Reading, UK with us. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone, for Mr. Ashish. Our second panelist for the day is Dr. Vishal Talwar, COO at University of Southampton, Delhi. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone, for Dr. Vishal. Our third panelist for the day is Gitanjali Rana, Director, Office of Global Education at Ashoka University. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone, for Ms. Gitanjali Rana. And our fourth panelist for the day is Mr. Gaurav Bhatnagar, Head International Relations and Corporate Outreach at Bennett University. Let's applaud our fourth panelist, Mr. Gaurav Bhatnagar, everyone. And our fifth panelist for the day is Mr. Devesh Anand, Regional Director, South Asia and Middle East at University of Birmingham. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone, for all our panelists.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ashish Jaiswar, and I'm from the University of Reading. While this keynote speech was happening by Dr. Vora, I was thinking we have a session straight after that, and after that energizing keynote speech, I don't know how we're going to be making it more interesting. So what I'm going to ask everyone sitting at the back, if you guys can come closer to the table. Thank you. Can I just get to know from the raise of hand, how many of you are from a university sector? Okay, there are 5, 6, and the remaining, I'm assuming, are people from schools or other aggregators, right? Perfect. Okay, so today on the panel we have 4 interesting people, not because they have a very good experience and they've been in the sector for the last 10 to 15 years. I happen to know them personally, so being friends for the last 10 to 15 years, it's like having a conversation in my living room, but probably it's a different living room altogether. I am going to give the mic to each one of them so they can introduce themselves, and then we can take it from there. So Vishal, I'm going to start from you because you're on the extreme end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Vishal Talwar. In the last 2.5, 3 months, I've come in as the Chief Operating Officer at the University of Southampton in Delhi. It's a campus that we are setting up right now and we're going live in August of 2025. The whole idea is to be able to contextualize transnational education in the Indian context, and at the same time bring in a lot of the research intensiveness or intensity that exists in a place like Southampton, bring it here along with innovative teaching practices and of course knowledge enterprise and exchange. So that's essentially what we're currently doing. So thank you so much for inviting me here today. Thank you.
Devesh, you're next.
Good morning, everyone, and once again, thank you for joining us. I'm Devesh, and I'm the Regional Director for South Asia and for the Middle East for the University of Birmingham. Prior to this, I was working for the University of Bristol, and I worked with them for almost about 8.5 years, and with quite extensive experience within the education, but also other industries. You know, it's really fascinating to be in this sector, to see how things are evolving, rapid dynamics, global changes in the geopolitical scenarios do have a lot of impact that happens countrywide as well. And to be as part of the institution, but also as part of the industry that is growing and evolving is really interesting to be. Thank you everyone for, again, being here, and we do look forward to having an engaging conversation with all of you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gaurav Bhatnagar. I head the International Relations and Corporate Outreach at Bennett University. Have been associated with the higher education vertical for over a decade now, specifically within the internationalization sphere, and trying to build that ecosystem of internationalization within the university. Happy to be here and looking forward to exchanging some good ideas.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gitanjali Rana. I'm the Director of Office of Global Education at Ashoka University. My office takes care of student mobility, faculty mobility, and also research partnerships. I look forward to our discussions here because we have 2 international partners, 2 domestic partners. So it will be a great evening, I think a morning to talk about what we are doing and how we are achieving what we try to achieve via various channels of education that we serve at.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And before we get into a panel discussion, I just want to point out something so much about how India is booming. In the previous session, we spoke about things from village. We spoke about how many beauty parlors we had, how much gold we have, but we never spoke about the education, the important aspect. Whenever there's a comparison done, it's done based on the power, the kind of wealth you have in a country, but we never talk about the education comparison. I think India is far behind. It's there. That's why we have the new education policy in place, because obviously the country doesn't have the capacity to meet the population. Yes, we do more production in Delhi than compared to the entire other nations, but I think when you produce that kind of kids in the country, you do also need to have the education in place as well. And that is why the whole transnational education piece comes into picture, and that's how the universities are operating, because regardless how much support we get from the government, we don't have the capacity. And to serve the needs, we need to find out different ways where we can create opportunities for students, not only from tier 1 and tier 2 cities, but also from tier 3 and tier 4 cities who otherwise may not have the opportunity. So we're going to talk about what's happening in the world, what's happening in India. We're going to talk about the both from the point of students going from India to the UK or other parts of the world, and students coming to India. From that aspect, I'm going to talk first thing about to Devesh. Devesh, you've been in this sector for a very long time. You currently hold a position where you meet a lot of students from Middle East and from South Asia. So I want to understand from you, what emerging patterns are you seeing among these students, why they want to leave their home countries and go to UK as a study destination, and also as an institution, how Birmingham is kind of adapting different approaches to make sure that become the ideal destination for these students.
Thank you, Ashish. Now, with regards to me being so I've been associated with the universities for quite a long time, and that has offered me the privilege to have a look or be a part of the journey of students and see the evolvement of how their interests are changing. Now, what I see is within India or South Asia, Bangladesh, Colombo, as well as other areas around here, a lot of emphasis for students is going into STEM education, especially in the postgraduate domain, as well as in business and in health sciences. So these are the areas that are picking up quite a lot. Like we've heard in the previous session, aspirations are changing. Students are looking at global dreams, and this is the reality of the students in India as well, which is why we have almost about 1.5 million students as of 2025 that are studying overseas. A lot of motivation on this is to have a global career, but also have, look at futures abroad. And we as universities do, look at and nurture those aspirations as well. Now, the way we work around it is in terms of strategies. We have looked at recruitment strategies that have evolved for us. We have very strong in-country partnerships as well that we've evolved to provide students, very, very great education that they're getting in India, to then complement it with some exposure overseas as well. So looking at all of these is the domain that we've seen involvement. With regards to Middle East, it's a little different because a lot of it is government-backed and government-sponsored. So program choices mostly are engineering, health sciences again, but also a lot of into undergraduate and postgraduate education, specifically in education in English teaching, as well as in pre-sessional courses as well. So different scenarios, different students, and different domains. But again, the aspirations are quite high, and that is what we see quite common in both the destinations.
Thank you, Devesh. And I think, yes, it is true. I think the aspiration across the globe is changing. Students are becoming more particular about just beyond what they want to study. They also want to know how their career is going to be shaping up. And I think that's kind of dictating how the mobility is working. The immigration becomes an important issue for students now. Now, I have got two people on this panel who come from a very unique set of universities. These are young age universities, but apparently they have become big hit. I don't know how many of you have heard about Ashoka University. Okay, everyone, yeah? It's 10 years old. It's one of the biggest liberal arts schools or universities in India. Apparently have a collaboration with every single institution you can think of in the world. And their education pedagogy is completely different. While a lot of institutions are trying to send students overseas, they are on a different path altogether. They are bringing overseas students to India. So my question to Gitanjali is that yes, you are trying to do that, but what you do differently that you are able to get students from everywhere, every single part of the world. I recently had the privilege of going to the campus. I met students from California, Oxford, Cambridge, all coming onto the campus. What do you differently which helps these students to come to your institution?
Um, Thank you for raising hands that you do know about Ashoka. We are only 11 years old. We are not like Delhi University or other centralized universities that have been there since forever in the field of education. And what we do differently is something that Sir said in his previous session. We are proud of what we do. And we don't put it down saying that, oh, our students need to go abroad. What we do differently is what Ashoka has built, the curriculum that we have created, the ethos that flow in the institutions are of high quality, high standard, and we are proud of it. And that's what we showcase to students outside. We are proud that we have students from Berkeley, we have students from UPenn, from Yale, from whatever big name in the Ivy League you talk about or you think of, we have those students on campus, and these students come for an exchange, or they spend a semester with us, or they spend a summer with us, and it is all because of three things that we have done. Curriculum that is global. What we have done is we have created a curriculum that can be accepted by anybody, anywhere in terms of relevance. So our curriculum is relevant, it's accepted. Second is this curriculum also transcends into industry. So it's not a standalone curriculum that will not function or work for you once you're outside of the university gates. Initially when Ashoka started and we said, oh, we are a liberal arts institution, people were hesitant. People said, oh, what will my son or my daughter do after a liberal arts graduate degree? And today our students, our graduates are working at PwC, at EY in consultation. They're working in media, they're working in any industry that you talk of, our students are there. And there's a recent research wherein it's been found that people who come in from, sorry to say that, from STEM backgrounds survive highly and they do very well in the first 3 years. But when you look at long term, STEM people keep changing their jobs and they're not clear about what they really want to do and where they want to be. The sustainability and reliance of liberal arts students is way more in industries than STEM students. So that's what makes us different, that yes, we create more of a liberal arts graduate, but our graduates do a lot and they know a lot of things. They would do history with psychology, they would do economics with entrepreneurship, but also biosciences with Sanskrit, international relationships with political science and also entrepreneurship. So those interesting combinations make them understand a lot of different things from a lot of different views. And that's what makes them survive this world which is ever changing. What was relevant in the field 5 years ago is not relevant today. Curriculum is changing, our needs are changing, so does the education system, has to kind of adjust to these changes. We cannot stay fixated on those usual paths of BCom, BSc, BBA. We need to kind of keep evolving everything that we do today in our classrooms so that our graduates are relevant once they step outside. And that's what we are trying to do.
Thank you so much for that, Gitanjali. I know you guys have done a lot of things in the last 10 to 11 years. I recently had the privilege of attending the Ashoka's 10 years anniversary. On that note, I just want to share you a very personal thing. So I was recently on a flight from Delhi to Bangalore, and I sat next to the PwC head of human resources for the entire South Asia region. And she was talking to her son, and she was pushing him to apply to Ashoka, and there was a whole process going on. And I spoke to her, what makes you think that Ashoka is a better institution for your kid compared to any other B schools or engineering colleges? And she said, it's just the way it will give, the curriculum is designed in such a way that it will give my child the ability to think critically and will have that emotional intelligence and empathy to make the right decisions. You rightly said it. I think in India what happens is once you graduate, the focus is on getting a job. So if you ask a candidate today, what do you want to do? I want to do a job, but they will not talk about which company, what kind of salary, where I want to go. And I think what happens is the curriculum is designed in such a way, we have it coming from generation, that you're not able to think beyond what is offered to you. And I think Ashoka does that differently. I am talking about Ashoka, Gaurav, but yes, Bennett does things differently as well. It's not like I'm overshadowing Bennett altogether. Have anyone has heard about Times of India? Of course. It's a newspaper we probably have been reading throughout our life, and I think just to give you a background, Bennett is part of Times of India. It's a institution which was formed by them. Times of India has a legacy of what, 18th century since? 186 years, and I think they've been kind of using that experience. So I want to go there because I know Bennett is working on a very different approach altogether. Bennett is not only following the traditional undergraduate degree or master's degree which you offer in India, but you're also offering kind of creating a pathway where you are creating an opportunity for students to study year in India, and then they can study in a different campus or altogether in Dubai, maybe with Birmingham, or in Malaysia with Reading, and then they can go to the UK. How do you think this kind of arrangement is helping you to retain that good talent in India? Otherwise, these students will simply go abroad and study. And how do you think it is benefiting students?
Thank you, Ashish. And again, once again, a good raise of hands in terms of the Times of India group. Yes, we are backed by the Times group, which has many group companies. And I think and thank you for asking that question, Ashish. I think that's at the very heart of the vision at Bennett University. We have spoken about the models to Reading and to Birmingham. So our investment with transnational education is very strategic. And it kind of, centered around answering some of those questions of brain drain, talent being in the country, and so on and so forth. And the transnational education partnerships for us is not about outsourcing our prestige or importing a foreign badge, but I think it's about co-creating value. Co-creating values in terms of academically, economically, culturally. The beauty about the transnational education, be it, as you said, the 2+2 arrangements, articulation of semester abroad programs, is that a considerable part of the academic journey of a student happens in the home institution. And that is where I believe that you can really make an impact about retaining that kind of talent. Our pitch when it goes to, taking admissions to these pathway programs is all about, the global opportunities that you will have. When the student is with you, why don't we pivot that to the opportunities that you will have by earning a global degree in India? So I think that is where we are trying to be a bit different when they're there with us for the 2 years, 1 year, or whatever durations, is to tell them about the great knowledge that they're going to bring in, the best practices that they're going to bring in to the country, and also, help build the nation. Secondly, through our innovation incubator, we very, very innovatively call it the Bennett Hatchery, which introduces them to the concept of entrepreneurship within the group. So, talking to them again about a global degree, but how they can make an impact, look at global ventures with international students, or kind of look at, the venture capitalist funding that they can get for their Indian ventures as well. So those kind of, the ideas that you tell them in the very formative age, where they're still trying to find their own identities, their own aspirations, is something that impacts them a lot and helps us, kind of retain those talents. So, obviously, this is something which cannot be driven by a single university. This is a communication that has to go across this vertical, wherein the student sees the oneness, the unity of what every one of us is propagating in the market and how to make, India great.
Thank you. So, you have a question? So you can ask the question.
So you talk about TNE partnerships where your students move to a different country. Given present situation around visas and students not being able to go to various countries, what happens to students who are not able to move to the destination that they started their journey thinking of?
I have the answer.
Well, interestingly, when I spoke about the two things about entrepreneurship ideas and, being in the country, in this age, yes, visas are getting difficult for many, many destinations. If a student fails to get a visa from a TNE partnership, they become a regular student. And all the, inputs that we have given to them kind of carries on whether they, progress abroad for their studies or they remain here with us at Bennett.
Thank you. That was the only thing which I've given. This is the last question from a panel has asked a panel. The moderator will ask the questions only. Vishal, there was a reason why I left the question to you last, because what we were talking about now was a very traditional way of the education. Birmingham and Reading are a campus based in the UK, or in Malaysia and Dubai. Bennett and Ashoka are based in India. But Southampton has done a completely different approach. I'm not sure how many of you are aware about Southampton. Anyone has heard about Southampton? Perfect. Thank you. So just to give you a background, Southampton is a top 100 UK university, which has been the first university under the UGC guidelines to open a campus in the NCR region, in Gurgaon. If I'm correct, you guys are operational from August 2025. You guys have so much of advert going on in the newspaper, it's hard to miss. What I want to ask you, Vishal, is that you guys are operating and has opened up a campus in India. So I want to understand two things from you. First is, it's good on books when you say you're opening a campus, but in the background, there's so many challenges. So what regulatory or operational challenges did you face? That's one question. And second is, the notion would be that the campus is in India, you will get a lot of Indian students. Will there be a two-way mobility from UK to India and India to UK?
So thank you. I think that's a very valid question. So just to give you a brief background, I think the University of Southampton, which you mentioned, is a QS top 100 university as of now, as we speak. I think this is essentially a manifestation of the new education policy, which was launched somewhere around July, August of 2020. And the whole idea was that can we bring in a certain increased base of skill sets into the country, be a part of the higher education ecosystem. It's not about, in my opinion, from an import perspective, but it is essentially this whole idea that can we create a melange of higher education ecosystems in the country which benefit from a lot of good practices in the country, in India, as well as what's happening abroad, right? So at the end of the day, while we talk about transnational education, we talk about globally relevant practices and learning behaviors. You have to be able to contextualize into the country that you are participating in. And of course, India being a very vast country with a large base of population which is aspiring to do very well from an educational standpoint, you have to be able to ensure there's a balance between what is relevant out there in the West and what is relevant in the Indian context. So University of Southampton essentially is a manifestation of that. As you said, we're launching in August of 2025. And if I talk about the kind of challenges, that we've not had any challenges per se, right? Because this has been part of the noble mission of the Ministry of Education of the Indian government to be able to bring in a lot more capacity into the country, a lot more let's say centers of excellence. You have to bring in there are areas which India is doing very well in. What an established university system abroad can do is can add and further enhance and impact positively those areas, right? Southampton has been able to prove its credentials in research in the internet space, in wireless communications, in oceanographic studies, maritime, in this whole idea of fiber optics, right? A lot of all these areas are areas which a country like India requires a lot of fundamental research in, and of course we are committed to that. We are a triple helix university, which means that teaching, research, as well as knowledge, enterprise, and exchange, all three will coexist at the university, right? And of course, we are wanting to be mainstream. We will be mainstream, and that's why we are obviously setting up our base in the NCR region. From a challenge perspective, I think there's been a lot of positive interest. We have been receiving a lot of good support, whether that be in terms of any aspects of going through the let's say the processes that are part of the regulatory space in the country, whether it is about a lot of keen interest from educational faculty, from whether that be in India or abroad, right? What you will see in the next 1 month or so will be the nature of the faculty that will be part of the institution. We're getting a lot of good interest from Indian origin faculty, for example, who are abroad and want to come back for various reasons, right? Now this could be familial reasons, these could be other reasons to give back, right? But you will see that there'll be 3 strains of faculty as a part of the higher education ecosystem at Southampton. faculty who are coming, from established universities, other Russell Group universities abroad, coming back.
So we know that what are the challenges. The language barrier is there, the visa process is very, very complex, and the cultural diversity. So how can we prepare the students at college level, to overcome these language, especially language? Now we have only IELTS program and other programs and all that are not sufficient. I think the students are not doing well through that, IELTS and all. So some at the university level, if some language specialization is organized, I think that is more better in the curriculum that can be added. And the cultural diversity, when the students goes there, they come back, they are not adjusted to the culture. So that cultural diversity can be done, can be, navigated by exchange programs and all. So that I think every university should consider the exchange programs has to be, there, so that the students become comfortable before going. And we can have the recommendation about what we discussed here in the forum to reach to the government, so that the visa process should be simplified. It's very complex. The students are running from pillar to post. So the visa process has to make simplified. So I think you can send the recommendations, organizers and all can do that, and through government we can get that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that question. And just as an observation, what I would say is that with regards to, like we've been talking, the aspiration of students are growing. It's also their interest in that culture as well. So I see students who've been looking at, foreign series, looking at movies and picking up the language from there. As a university perspective, when we look at students, we identify that English is a primary language that is taught in the classrooms. Students who are achieving high scores in that, for example, 80% in CBSE English, most of the UK universities would give them a waiver for the IELTS as well. For those students who are not able to clear the IELTS, there are also other opportunities like the pre-sessionals, where they come in about 3 weeks or 4 weeks before the actual course starts, so they get a bit of hand-holding there as well. This is just with regards to language, but in addition to that, there's a lot of support given to students for the visa process. We have dedicated professionals who are there in the campus, who liaise with students, and also our partners here locally as well.
And also when it comes to the language, there are a lot of universities who have a value-added course, VAC, as we call it, for foreign languages. So there's French, there's German, and many others, Spanish. Why don't we also put English as one of the languages there? So I think if you make that kind of an effort, have certain credit courses as value-added courses, part of the curriculum, schools are doing it, so why not colleges in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which can actually help the purpose. And how we are evolving is that if a student has an aspiration to study abroad, whether for a short semester or for a complete degree program, we kind of run a survey within the university to check where they want to go, whether they want to go to France, Germany, Spain, UK, US. And then if they choose German, we kind of counsel them in terms of, also getting them those value-added courses for the German language. So I think that's how we're kind of building that up and making sure that they're confident when they actually approach that point.
Right. Right, thank you.
No, your stage time is over. So, so I think I'm going to touch upon the visa part of it. For UK, I don't know if you've heard news recently, there have been trade talks happening between UK and India, and there was an announcement made yesterday that they're going to simplify the visa process for Indians coming to the UK. That's part of the trade deal. The second is, I just want to highlight, we often talk about how difficult it is to get a visa for another country, but believe me, India doesn't make it easy for other countries as well. If you are a UK national or a US national, you don't get an India visa that easily. The amount of paperwork they have to produce, they have to declare where they've lived in the last 5 years. Thankfully, we don't have that issue in India. So I think it's often good to know that what happens on the other side of it. India as a country has made visa processes difficult for other countries as well. There are some way where we have free visa movement, like Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and to Indonesia or Bali. But for other countries, we make it difficult as well. I think this is something at a government level, and I think it's a two-way process. Wherever India is involved in trade deals, the visa is an important aspect of that particular conversation. Your stage time is up, sorry.
I need to say that.
Yeah, it has to be international collaboration.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
And-
unless
and
it is,
thanks to
it
the
is not,
government.
I'm not talking only about India process is complex, but all over international collaboration has to be there, you know, so that we can make it more simplified.
Gitanjali, you have 30 seconds to respond and we over it, the whole thing.
No. Ashish is right, because when I try to bring in students from various parts of the world to India, the amount of challenges our government puts on us and the paperwork that we need to provide is insane. And I won't be surprised that tomorrow there's a new notification saying that knowledge of Hindi is mandatory to come to India. I won't be surprised.
Thank you. Any other questions? I know, maybe I'll pick up that person first. And we're running short of time, so it's only, I'm going to wrap it up quickly, I know. Yeah, it's fine. Just last question.
आप सभी को नमस्ते और यहाँ पे बैठे हुए मुझे लगता है पांचों पैनलिस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की तरफ से हैं और मैं एक स्टूडेंट के पर्सपेक्टिव से एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ और हमेशा हम जानते हैं कि एक यूनिवर्सिटी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन स्टूडेंट के बीच एक अच्छा टग ऑफ वॉर होते रहना चाहिए तो what we are seeing and witnessing in India is that exposure is coming at a huge cost. When we talk about Ashoka University itself, Gitanjali ma'am, for an undergraduate program also in India, it is almost close to 13 lakhs that you have to pay. While an average Indian salary is around 1,80,000 an average Indian earns in a year. So it's very, I think, problematic when we see that a huge, class of students lack the best of exposures. I, coming from a public university in India, I am from Delhi University, and I think, if I am not wrong, 3 people sitting here are from the public university itself. Those from the Southampton, Birmingham, and the Reading University. And the 2 people, Gitanjali ma'am and Gaurav sir from India are from the private university in India. So public universities in India are, because of the lack of fund, are not giving that kind of exposure and that kind of experience that is required. And we all know the importance of public university when it comes to mass of students it actually intake. While, at the same time, we see exposures, everything flowing about in the private universities at a huge cost. So how a university like Ashoka actually must be thinking, as it thinking beyond. So how it is thinking to bridge that actually gap and ensure that merit does not comes at and exposures does not come at a huge cost. Yep. Thank you.
I'll just take 2 minutes. Okay, 1 second. It's a perception that Ashoka is a super expensive institution. Yes, it is. But what people don't know is 47% students are on full financial aid. That is something we don't know. Last year, we gave 117 crores in scholarships, even to international students. I have students from New Zealand, Africa, Middle East, studying at Ashoka at full financial aid, food, accommodation, travel, visas, everything covered by us. And that comes from the rest of the 63% who pays a higher fee. But we are need blind, and we also look at all applications at the same level, irrespective of can you pay or not.
Thank you so much that for Gitanjali. I need to wrap it up, but मैं आपको एक चीज़ बोलना चाहूँगा. ये जितने भी विश्वविद्यालय यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं, जो कि बाहर के देशों से आए हुए हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि यहाँ पर स्कॉलरशिप्स या आपको किसी तरीके की चीज़ें उपलब्ध नहीं हैं. कहने का मतलब ये है कि जो इस देश के विद्यार्थी हैं, जब वो पढ़ाई के लिए बाहर जाने के लिए सोचते हैं, वो मेहनत नहीं करना चाहते हैं. उनको ये लगता है कि उनको सब चीज़ें आके बताई जाएंगी. आज अगर आप इंडिया की मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन की वेबसाइट पर जाएंगे, वहाँ पर हर देश में कहाँ पे क्या स्कॉलरशिप मिल रही है, वो हर चीज़ क्या कहते हैं पब्लिश की जाती है, एडवर्टाइज की जाती है. तो मेरे कहने का मतलब ये है कि अपॉर्चुनिटीज या चीजें अवेलेबल हैं, अगर आप देखना चाहोगे तो आपको मिलेगी, आपके पास कोई चल के आपको जवाब नहीं देगा उसका. Thank you so much. And I am, no, I'm going to wrap it up because I need, no, she will kill us, so we need to wrap it up. But we will talk to, after this. No. No, we'll come to your table, but we need to kind of.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
so much. Thank you.
It was healthy to have this tug of war between the student and administration to actually cut the cost.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the panelists for being a wonderful speaker. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all the panelists, and a request to come for a group picture.